Good morning, everybody. You are a unique individual with the power to change lives just by being who you are, sharing your wisdom, and telling your story. Welcome, everybody, to Jen's Pen, where we find interesting people and ask them to share their story. Today, we're talking to Terry Wager. Dr. Terry Wager, welcome.
Well, thank you. It's great to be here.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to have you. So it's really simple, Terry. What's your story?
That's depending on what year it is or where you want me to start. My story is very, very different. When I grew up, I had a great family. When I got to be about a teenager, I didn't have such a great family because I started thinking about things too much. And my family didn't fit in how I thought they should treat me, and I didn't think that the world treated me right. And I had a lot of problems because the way I was perceiving the world. And so, back where I was growing up, things weren't so great in here, and we're in real estate groups together, and one of my closest business partners is real estate, and I always joke with him that the most expensive piece of real estate is right between your ears. And I had a very, very crappy piece of real estate. I saw things poorly. I looked at how I was losing things. I looked at how things weren't working, and my life was reflecting all of that from, about honestly, from about 12 or 13 years old till about 26 or 27 years old. And I didn't know how to change that. And I did all kinds of self-development. I went and saw therapists. I went and saw counselors. I went and had, different training and things. And none of it worked to get me thinking right, because I had a problem with how I felt about me and how I felt about the world. And so, as every great story, there was a turning point, and basically I got into drugs and I got into alcohol, and I got into all that stuff, and I just took myself all the way down, and things weren't working in my life. And at 26 years old, I was looking at how I can move forward in my life, and really, honestly, I wasn't looking at that as much as how much I just didn't like anything. Everything sucked, and the thing that sucked most was me. I didn't have any friends. I didn't have any real prospects of life. I managed to hold on to a job, and that was just because they felt bad for me. And I was a cook in a restaurant at that time, and I had, 2 or 3 careers where I'd move up, and I was such a grinder that I'd move up. And I had certifications in when I worked in cars. I had certifications. I was a certified brake tech. I was certified front end. I couldn't stand it, and I just walked away and left $4,000 worth of tools, and I just walked away and changed my whole life. And I would do that over and over and over again because I was not happy with me. And so no matter what was going on outside of me, I didn't like me. And so I would leave trying to fix the problem, and I'd go with me. And so the problem went with me.
Right.
Well, I stopped drinking. I got involved in self-help or other help, really, a 12-step group. And I started doing some of that stuff. And I realized that I actually had a couple of things. One, I had a real gift away of putting things. And two, when I stopped thinking about myself, my life got better. And so I figured, because I'm an overachiever, that if I really want to help people, I couldn't just do it like normal people and help other people. I had to go and get trained, and I had to go and really do it all. And so I became a doctor of psychology. And part of that is a joke, but part of it is really, I wanted to understand what was going on with me and what was going on with other people that they couldn't get out of their own way. They couldn't get out of their own head. And it was, so clear to me that when we think about things, we tend to go in a way that doesn't work. But when we actually just take action, and when we really get rid of the emotional baggage that I talk about a lot, and just remove it, identify it, let it go kind of thing, we start to move forward quickly. Because when we have emotions that are all bottled up, our head starts to overthink. And so I got into school probably, I don't know, 27 years old, 28 years old. I was a non-traditional student. I dropped out of high school. I dropped out in the 11th grade. I was done with it, never going to go back. And then sitting in a restaurant with my chef, he's like, what do you want to do? This is about 2 years after I was sober. He's like, what do you want to do? And he was thinking that I was going to go into management. I was thinking I was going to go into management. I was going to learn how to run a restaurant because I had all the pieces, but I didn't have the management part. And so I'm all ready to go. Yep, I'm ready to go. And I was like, I think I want to go to school. And I looked around, I'm like, who the hell
Where
said
did
that?
that
Because I
come
know
from?
I don't want to go to school. I know I'm not a person who ever wants to walk into a school ever again. It was the worst experience of my life from about the time I started to the time I dropped out. I just couldn't stand it. It was a constant reminder that I was stupid. But here I hear myself saying, I think I want to go to school. I think I want to become a psychologist. I think I want to be able to help people. And that's the way I think I can do it. And he's like, well, you'll always have a place here. Why don't you go do that and see what happens? And so I did. And, throughout the next 10 years, I started getting really trained on what gets people stuck, how to get people moving, how to help them really take hold of what is strong in themselves. And then the areas that need developed, very easy ways to help people develop. And I got really good at helping people move forward. And, I worked with severely emotionally disturbed kids. I worked for 5 years in prison system with highly, highly violent and aggressive felons. I worked with big business guys who had stress that they couldn't handle their jobs, and I helped them learn how to control their stress and get rid of the emotional baggage so that they could build their business as they wanted to. That was in my private practice. And so I've worked in many, many different areas, but the one thing that I saw, no matter what, is our thinking gets out of control when our emotions are triggered. And so throughout my career, I've noticed that no matter what's going on, you calm the emotions and you help somebody to have an emotional relationship with themselves, their thinking is clear and they can move forward. And so as I moved through, the severely emotionally disturbed population, I realized that that's just not where I want to be. I don't want to work with kids, although I love working with kids. It's one, not me helping me meet my goals.
Mhm.
And two, it's not really working with a kid is like working with the Band-Aid because the parents actually train the kid in that way. And
Right.
so I'm going to work with more adult type people. So I was going to work with adults, and then my internship said, no, you're not. You're going to actually work in a prison system because that's the only place you're going to go. And I was one of the highest paid interns, interesting enough. And I didn't control that. I didn't try to do that. It just fell in my lap. And then they're like,
Mhm.
here's a lot of money to work with felons. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll take the money. I'll work with the felons. But the funny thing is that is one of the single best things that happened when I was in my training, because I worked with the worst of the worst as far as people see. But really, it's the most triggered of triggered people with their emotions, and they didn't know how to react to their emotions. And so I actually took the training that I use now with CEOs and with leadership teams and with entrepreneurs, and I developed that in there for helping these gangbangers, these highly violent offenders, to stop actually reacting to themselves and start getting along with themselves and start getting along in the prison system. And they liked my program back there so much that they adopted it. And unfortunately, as budgets go, the prison that I was working in, about a year and a half after they adopted it, they closed the prison and they shipped everybody out, including me. And so I went on to going, okay, well, I guess that means that I just move on to my next step, and I opened a private practice in Portland, Oregon. And I was doing that, and I found that the same things I was doing for the violent and aggressive felons worked really well for the CEOs I was working with that would come in highly stressed, and they couldn't seem to have good family relationships, and they couldn't seem to get their employees to work with them well, and they didn't know what was going on. And so I started working with them around this emotional balance kind of idea, or balanced intentional state, I called it. And they started to calm down. They started to be able to think clearer and make better strategic decisions. And so I found that this is something that I'm really good at. I've been really good at it no matter what population I'm working. But the people that were coming to me at that point in my private practice had more money. And at the same time, I was noticing that there was people like Tony Robbins out there, or T. Harv Eker, that were saying similar things, doing different ways, but they were getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to do the same thing I was getting for about $200 an hour. And so I was like, my model's broken. I got to quit taking my own bad advice and start actually doing some of the things that these other coaches are doing. And so I got rid of the mental health model altogether, partly because at the depth of my belief is there is nothing wrong with us, except we listen to ourselves too much. There is no real mental health problem that if we stopped listening to ourselves, we'd have.
Yeah.
Our depression, our anxiety, all of the ups and downs that we all have, it's an emotional roller coaster. And we're listening to all of the different ideas that come out of our head. And it's this idea that we keep taking our own bad advice. Even if you gave me the greatest advice, then I'd go and listen to myself tell me. And then based on how I felt, based on how much I was triggered emotionally, I'd change it to what I want, and I'd react to that instead of what you said. And we all do this constantly. And I've seen it over and over. It doesn't matter what situation we're in. We listen to our own bad advice. We interpret what people say, and then we react to what we told ourselves instead of what was actually said.
Right.
And this is why people don't succeed. And this is why people stay stuck. And this is why people hesitate. And this is why people can't seem to move forward the way they want to powerfully, because they're listening to themselves instead of taking the action that somebody who's already been there, or somebody who is on the outside being able to see the blind spots, helps them move forward. And so once I realized that this is the thing, I started to put my own program together, and I started to help entrepreneurs, and I started to help business owners in my consulting firm start to work with their teams and start to really have cohesive teams that really can move forward. And I have different formulas and different processes that help people do that. But the number one process is really around emotional states, because and Tony Robbins talks about these, and other people talk about them as in non-resourceful states, but they don't really talk about them as emotional states. And I really focus on, look, if you identify your emotions, you move to balance. If you don't identify your emotions, you fight with them. And it's kind of like having a spouse that you don't talk to, or a partner that you don't talk to. If you don't talk to them and try to control them, you're going to be in a fight constantly, because they're going to fight back. But if you have a relationship with them and talk to them and have that connection, you start to feel more connected. You start to feel understood. You start to feel empowered, because everybody's on the same page. Now, if you could do that yourself, what would happen? If you could every moment of every day know exactly what was going on with you and how to express it, how would your life be different? And this is what I teach the CEOs that I work with, the entrepreneurs that I work with, the leadership teams I work with. And what I've seen when I work with these people is, one, all of that stuff that Simon Sinek talks about, your why comes from emotion. It doesn't come from your head. And so if you're thinking about and trying to figure out your why, you're screwed. But if you get rid of the fight in the emotions, and you calm yourself and just know who you are, know what emotions are triggered and when they're triggered, your why pops out of you. Your purpose pops out, because your purpose is buried down deep underneath every thought you have. And so when we can identify our emotions, when we can really get clear on our emotions, we get clear on our life, and we get clear on our purpose, and we get clear on our direction. And clarity is king. When we can really understand what's going on with us, by the way, clarity is king, but the emotions are the kingdom.
Okay.
And
yeah.
so when we can really understand our emotions have three states. We have a raw emotional state, we have a protective state and we have a balanced state. And we will never get in the balanced state unless we identify our raw emotions. And I talk all about that in my book, Quit Taking Your Own Bad Advice.
Right.
And I have another chapter coming out in Success Boosts or something like that. I can't remember the book, but I'll be talking about it later as it comes out. That is really mindset's a distant third. And I say that because mindset is directed by our emotion set. And we don't realize it, but our emotions are the things that move us forward or keep us on the roller coaster, ups and downs all around everywhere we go. And so we don't realize that. But when we can really identify our emotions, we get off the roller coaster, we can start moving forward. And so that's kind of where I came from. And now Christine and I have Generator Coaching, and Generator Coaching, we really help you get on the bullet train of action, because we get rid of the emotional baggage. We get rid of that emotional upset by helping you identify the raw emotions so you can get to balance. If we don't identify them, we fight with them. It's kind of like being in the dark with all kinds of boxes all around you. You can't see your way. You end up pushing all the boxes out of the way, but you get nowhere and you keep falling down. Right? And the way I say it is, the way I help people is I turn on the lights inside themselves so that they can see where they're going clearly and they can move forward powerfully. And so that's what we do as a foundation. And then once we move from the foundation, we start to move into how to do this with other people, how to help them become clear, how to help them get on the same page with themselves first and then everyone else. And think about if each person on your team was so clear with how they felt, what was going on with them. There was no lack of clarity. It was all clear, and they all could communicate with what was going on with them. Boundaries would never be crossed. When they were, they'd be easily fixed because everybody's paying attention to each other, attentive, clear, moving forward, powerfully together. And that's the second way we help people, is really with their teams. And then think about that clarity with yourself and your team. How easy getting leads is, how easy marketing is, because you know exactly what you're doing, exactly who you're helping and how you're helping them. And that's what we do when we start working with people building leads or building marketing messages. And by the way, Generator Coaching has partnered with Mach 10, and now we're the Generator Group. And now I have a marketing person that really helps us get clear on how to move forward with marketing. And that's all about me getting clear on what I want and how I want to develop my company. And me and Michael connected real well. And so now we're working together, and it's just amazing because now you're clear with yourself, you're clear with your team, you're clear with your message, you're attracting people instead of trying to go find them, trying to go get them. Right. And so now people are coming to you because the message is so clear. And then in sales, imagine if you knew exactly how you were feeling in a sale, exactly how you were feeling in a consultation with somebody, so you never popped off, you never had a problem with what they came up with. Because I'm sure everybody that's listening to this, and I'm sure you, Jen, I know I have, somebody says no when we start. Well, what is no about? What is the thing that's stopping you from moving forward? You were on this call. How do you want to move forward? What do you want that to look like? And for me, especially with that emotional place, I can understand where their emotions are putting trash on the track right in that conversation. Just imagine how much power you would have in a sales conversation, helping them to make a decision to move forward with their life when you can see all of the trash on their track, because you know what your trash is. You know exactly what's going on. That clarity moves through to the sales. And then how to be the most iconic fulfillment. That's the fifth area that we help people. Fulfillment, and the fifth area, really helping people to have the life that they've wanted, helping them to get exactly what they want in their business, in their life, in their relationships. It doesn't matter what it is, because once we have that clarity from emotion, everything lays out. And you've known me for a little while. You've seen me grow. You've seen me take the community by storm, because we are clear on what we're doing, and we know how we help people, and we know what to do to get them to go where they want to go. And so that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Any questions?
That was an amazing story. I'm so grateful for this chance to get to know you. Questions. you've answered a lot of them. I was thinking of a question, then you would answer it in the next sentence. It's like, oh, how am I going to do this? Yeah, so basically, so how would you start with someone if someone came to you and said, okay, you know I have trash on my track here. How do you start getting to know them and getting to identify that?
That's a great question. I actually, funny enough, one of my old clients from probably about 6 or 7 years ago, right when I first started working with businesses, I still had a few therapy clients, and he came in with his brother, in fact, and his dad and the girlfriend at the time were really hard on them, and they didn't know how to really react with parents, but the parents were blaming them for having all the problems. And so they come in, and my first question to the kid was, "Hey, are you fucked up?" And he reminded me that the other day. Is like, why did you start that way? And the funny thing is it goes right back to what I believe is one of our underlying problems is our head says we're screwed up, but we're not. And so we believe our head, and we believe there's a problem. And so we react to life like there's a problem when there's no problem.
Right.
And so the first thing I want to do is, how much do you believe, and how much are you connected and dedicated to the idea that you have a problem? Because if you believe you have a problem, you're going to focus on it, and then nobody can fix it. And so it's a pattern interrupt. I'm a hypnotist too. And so we talk about that a lot in our different groups that we're in. But one of the things that we talk about in hypnosis is you want to do a pattern interrupt, and then you want to move somebody into a hypnotic state when you're doing hypnosis, especially the stage hypnosis I do. And so and people are like, whoa. And I go, you're deeper, 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 and put them into a hypnotic state and then do funny stuff. Well, I see the same thing with, hey, are you screwed up? Hey, are you fucked up? Is there a problem with you? No, there's no problem with me. Great. Now let's move into how we actually get what we want. And so that's how I used to start. I do a little bit different now. And I ask people a few different questions in the beginning, is like, why did you come see me? Which is kind of, why are you screwed up? Why'd you come to see me? What's wrong? And then I asked them, why me? Why did you come to see me? Did you hear about me? Did you just find me like on the internet? Is there something about me? Because when I can understand why they're seeking me out, I can start to move into how to help them move forward. And then a question that I love every time, no matter who I'm talking to, is, what do you want to get out of this conversation? And so when I ask that, it starts to help people to start thinking about what they're really looking for. Because one of the biggest problems I've seen with everyone in the world is they don't know what they really want. They know what their head says they want. Oh, I want chocolate ice cream. Do you really? Well, now they say, do you really? No, I think I want vanilla. No, I think I want strawberry. No, I think I want this other kind that was really gross. Whatever they want, it doesn't matter. But when you start to really ask people what they want, they start to think about what they want. And you got to dig deeper into what they really want, because their head is going to come up with all kinds of things. And so when I start working with people, I really get clear on what they want, or what they say they want in the beginning. And there's an old adage when I was doing therapy that a lot of the therapist friends I had is, the problem they come in with is the problem that gets them the ticket, but it's not the real problem. It's the one that they lead with. They're hiding the real problem because they want to make sure that they're safe. And this is because people always walk in any situation with distrust. We've heard for years, and it drives me crazy, this no like and trust factor. It's bullshit. I don't know. I don't have to know somebody, and I don't have to like somebody to buy from them, and I don't have to trust them, but I can't distrust them. And so the whole idea is, it's not about a trust factor. It's about removing the distrust. And it's a different way to look at it. And a lot of people don't talk about it. They don't even think about it. They just think that, well, if I don't just trust them, then I trust them. It's not true. It's not true. It's, if I don't distrust them, I'm at a level playing field now. Now I can be open to what they're saying. It doesn't mean I trust them. And so building trust actually, it oftentimes creates more distrust, because why are you trying to make me trust you? We automatically go resistant, and we automatically get suspicious, because that's how we protect ourselves. And so when we understand that, we go, okay, all I'm doing is removing distrust by asking them why me, by asking them what they would like out of this, by letting them know, I don't know if I can help them. I have no idea if I can help you. I need to get some information before I can say I can really help or not. And so that's where I start every conversation, every interaction with a client or a pre-client, because I have no idea if I can help. And I've helped people make millions of dollars in their businesses. I've helped people really build their entrepreneur businesses, their own you know, single person deal. I've helped people put teams together, and it always starts with, what do you really want? Why do you want it? And these are simple questions, but it's not about the question. It's about what I do with the question after. It's about how I start to do the little changes in perception when I'm working with somebody. And so it's a nuance that people don't realize, you know, because everybody, I can give you a whole list of questions. I can use the exact same questions I use, and you're going to get a different experience than they get with, or they're going to get a different experience with you than me, because I've had years and years of training of helping people remove the trash that's unconscious to them.
Mm.
And so it's very, very different. And that's what happens when you work with somebody skilled versus somebody who's just getting into the business, or somebody who's just working from a box. Like, you know, there's a bunch of different programs out there where they get taught how to do intervention, or how to do these different changes, or how to, you know, how to find your why. Go get Simon Sinek's book and be certified in that, or go to StoryBrand and get certified in StoryBrand. It doesn't mean that you know why you're making the changes. It just means that you've been certified that you can help somebody make those changes physically outside. But have you got the internal change?
Right.
Have you got the thing that gets you to stop thinking and start taking the action that moves you forward? And so that's what we do at Generator Coaching, is really help people to go inside and make the internal changes. Because think about the idea that you're moving forward from you. And so if this is wrong, you're moving all over the place. But if this is right, you start moving forward down the track. And it takes the two rails. It takes the internal game and the external game.
So I was thinking, you were saying that at one point you said that like all the trash, all the emotions, well, your why, right? You were talking about your why. So your why is in your head, you were saying, but then it's actually not, it's deeper than that. So
Right.
you have to remove this emotional trash on the tracks.
Right.
In my head, the why is in my, you know, like, of course, like the why is in my head. Of course, you know, I've thought about it, and I know what I want and why I want it and stuff like that. So when you remove that sort of trash, what kind of change in the why happens? How, like, what do people find? I mean, I know it's
Well,
different for every person, but
yeah, it is, but funny enough, a good example is a friend of mine. I won't say who it is. She may be related to me in a sisterly sort of way, but I won't say who it is, because, well, now I have 4 sisters, so they don't know which one it is. They probably do, but they won't see this anyway. But one of them came to me probably about 12 years ago, and they're talking about the fact that they've lived their whole life for everyone else. And she was distraught because her life was at this crossroads, so she thought. And she's like, I've been doing this for everyone else. I'm like, how do you know that? And she's like, because I've been thinking about it. And so she had convinced herself that her whole life, and she's got kids and she's got a life, and she's killing it as far as things go, but she wasn't happy. And she was looking outside of herself, believing that it was because that everybody else made choices for her. And to a degree, that's true, because she listened to what she listened to about what people were saying she should do. But it was really her own self saying that. And this is a very, very skilled executive. She's very, very strong, very, very smart, pretty good person. I like her. You know, she's all right. but she falls prey to the same thing everyone else does. We have our own internal dialogue telling us what we think. And if our emotions are not calmed down and we don't have a relationship with our emotions, but we only have a relationship with outside of people based on what we show them, then our life starts feeling like a lie. And I'm sure you've heard the idea of imposter syndrome. This is what I'm talking about.
Okay.
This is what I'm talking about. And so everybody walks around pretending to be themselves, and they show up the way people think, or they think people think they should be. And if you've noticed, I even stumbled over the thinks. They think the way people think they should be. And it's like there's so many presuppositions in there.
Mm,
They're not themselves, they're playing a role. And then we play this role no matter what. And so what's your why? Oh, my why is this. Well, why do you think that? Well, because I'm afraid that other people won't think that that's a good enough why. Or because that's what I was taught as a kid, that that should be your why. Family should be your why. This should be your why. That should be. Well, which one is it? How do you know? And if this thing is making noise, it's going to continue to be cloudy. It's not like you don't know for sure, but you might have two, or you might have three, or it's cloudy, like your window's dirty.
okay.
But until you get emotionally clear, until you calm that emotion down, you don't know, you think.
Right.
And some people love to confuse, well, I feel with I think. I feel like I'm really supposed to. Do you? Do you feel that way? Or do you feel triggered if you don't do it that way? Oh. And see, these are the ways that I really confront that. And it's really just questions. And man, it's the scariest thing to realize that what you've been telling yourself for years isn't necessarily true. Like, shit, man, I believed me for freaking 20 years and I was lying to myself the whole time. I thought I had a terrible childhood. My childhood is so much better now than it was 20 years ago. It's because I stopped believing the lies that I told myself.
Mm-hmm.
I actually was plagued by the fact that my dad hated me for years. I'm totally wrong. My dad loved me, but I kept telling myself that he didn't like me because he didn't approve of me, because I didn't approve of me. And I had no idea that that was different. I just thought it was him because I listened to me.
Right.
And I saw his reaction to how I was living my life, and he was mad. He hated how I lived my life, but he wasn't mad at me. He was mad at himself. And if you think about that, that's how relationships fall apart, because people get mad at themselves and then we interpret as they're mad at us. And then we stop talking, we grow apart.
Right.
And so when we get clear with ourselves and we can get that noise to shut up by identifying our emotions, everything changes. And then we move forward powerfully, because then we can have the conversations. Everybody's so afraid of conflict. They're not afraid of conflict. They're afraid that their emotions are going to get triggered. I don't want to feel that. No way.
Right.
And so when we actually get into the conflict, and I love conflict, I absolutely love it. My head hates it. They're going to call you out on shit. Yes, they are. But the fact of the matter is when we can have a conversation without anybody running away, and we can talk about it and work through it and understand each other's point of view completely without going, well, agree to disagree. No, F that. Don't agree to disagree. Understand.
Right.
Because when we have clear understanding, we can move forward. And maybe we don't move forward together because we're not aligning in the way we want to go, but that's fine. What's not fine is trying to align, pretending we align, and then having problems later, or not aligning because we're not listening to each other. You know, and everybody talks about active listening. Everybody talks about all the different forms of listening. But the problem is, it's not the listening that's the problem. It's who we're listening to. And
Right.
the fact of the matter is I have a habit, and I use habit intentionally. I have a habit of listening to my own head, no matter what anybody says. And so I have to really have a routine of going, okay, is what they said what I heard? What emotion got triggered? Identify that, get that out of the way and go, okay, tell me again. Share that idea with me again. Talk to me again about that. And when I can really listen to them without my triggers, and by the way, I've been doing this for years and years and years. I'm one of the foremost in this area of emotion, and I still get triggered because I'm human.
Right.
And so anybody thinks that they've got it beat, well, their ego just lied to them and they believe it. And so, you know, I talk about ego eliminating great opportunities. Great opportunities for what? For connection. You know, Generator, we really focus on relationships, resources, and results. Because without relationships, we can't do anything. Without resources, we're dead in the water too. You cannot have the results without the relationships and the resources. And the first resource we have is our emotions. Everybody talks about leaving them out. You can't leave it out. It's part of who you are. And you can't leave your ego out. You know, people leave your ego at the door. You cannot do that. You have to have a relationship with yourself. And you have to be, you know, integrity, right? Oh, you gotta have integrity. Integrity means wholeness. If you don't have wholeness in a ship, it sinks. And if you don't have wholeness in yourself, you sink. And so integrity is about taking all of these three emotional states, putting them together and being able to know how I'm feeling in the raw emotions, how I'm trying to protect myself because of those, and how I can move to balance by admitting those. And I help people do that. And when they do that, their life just explodes in a good way.
Right. Not implodes, explodes.
Wonderfully.
Well, sorry, I don't want to take too much more of your time. So I just want to thank you so much for sharing this time with us and your story. And this has been such an honor to get to know you better too. It's been really fun. It's so enlightening. Yeah, so we'll put all the information on how to get in touch with you in the comments section, so people know if they're interested, they can reach out. But yeah, that's it. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. It's been my pleasure. Love hanging out. Love talking about this stuff. If people haven't noticed, yeah. And if you do want to get a hold of me, you can go to generatorcc.com, and we will put some other information in the comments. So
Right.
Thank you very much, Jen. This has been my pleasure. I will see you around, and everybody have a good day. Great day.
Thanks, everybody. Great day.
Great
Everybody
day.
has a tale to tell. What's yours?